Oh, darling. There we are. Frankie Miller this morning. It's 27 to 10. This is DCFM 88.9. It's time for You Know What.
It's time now for the latest news on what's hot and what's not in the world of technology with Matthew Dickerson on Tech Talk. Here on DCFM 88.9.
Morning, Matt. How are you?
I like how you put that song on for me, oh darling. Thank you, Richard.
Oh, it's my pleasure. My pleasure. I'll play you a kiss. Look, lots of stories this morning. Very quickly, the Bank of England, the future of banknotes in England.
Digital banknotes,
Yes,
what a concept.
What a concept.
And look, I think the thing that's really interesting about these is I see it as a stepping stone. There are some people out there who definitely like to keep a bit of cash in their pocket. They just think they don't like the credit cards, they don't like EFTPOS, they don't trust all of that. They want to have cash. But more and more places now are at the point, and especially with coronavirus, they're saying we don't want cash, we're happy to take contactless, we're happy to take EFTPOS, credit card, whatever. And so the whole idea of a digital banknote is it's just like a banknote in that it's not linked to you. It's basically cash on there. You can put an amount on there. So you could have a digital banknote with £20 on it. And it's Bank of England, so I'll talk pounds for the moment. And it's got £20 on it. And if you lose that digital banknote, like losing your credit card, the difference is you've lost £20. Someone can't access your credit card, they can't access your account. It is really just like cash, but instead of cash that you hand over, it's cash that you tap or use the way you would use a credit card or an EFTPOS card. So the idea is brilliant, and I think what will happen is people will use digital banknotes, they'll get used to the idea, and eventually they'll say, you know what? Why do I bother with this? I'll just start to use an EFTPOS card.
Yeah, and you don't end up with coin after coin after coin. Yeah,
there's a big expense to the economy of printing all those banknotes, keeping all those banknotes in circulation. That makes there is a huge expense in all of that. And so I think the idea of digital banknotes, I think, is a great stepping stone. In my opinion, I haven't carried cash for a long time. You just carry around credit cards or use your watch or whatever it might be.
I'm just wondering how much cash I've got. And it's been in my wallet for at least a week and a half, and the moths have just come out $25.
Yeah, that's right. See, I wouldn't even carry $25.
No.
If I walk into a coffee shop and they don't take EFTPOS, then I walk into the next coffee shop.
Yeah,
and find
it
one.
does, yeah.
But there's some people who still like that cash. So I think this is a good way to get people to transition, if you like.
All right.
Yeah.
I love this story. Goodyear. And I'm just thinking of our sponsor, Hannaford Tyres. Well, you'll be listening, boys. Goodyear, the new tyre concept. And you've even spelt tyre the American way.
Well, it was an American story that I
Indeed.
picked up there. So one of the things with the whole concept of electric vehicles as they come forward is the maintenance is very low. One thing that doesn't change with an electric vehicle is the tyres. In fact, I found that I wear through tyres quicker in an electric car because they've got so much acceleration, you tend to go through the rubber a bit quicker.
Oh, yeah. Won't go there.
So the idea is that they want to try and reduce all the maintenance in a vehicle as much as possible. So Goodyear have come up with a concept where the tread will actually regrow. Now that sounds crazy, a tyre is not a living animal or a living beast that can actually regrow, but what they do is they pump a polymer into the tyre, and that polymer then actually comes out through the tyre and then sets hard so that you actually have your tread that resets itself. As part of that whole concept, you now have some tyres on cars that are run flat tyres. They've got a structure inside them that is strong enough to support the weight of the car. And again, this is what this will do. They'll have the ability with a polymer inside them to have a structural integrity that will allow them to run flat. It'll allow the tread to actually regrow with the injection of this polymer. So you'll have almost a maintenance-free tyre. So development's happening everywhere.
Indeed, but just to allay Hannaford's fears, you've got to get that stuff filled up inside the tyre.
It's not something that just sits in there all the time.
Yeah.
Obviously, there'll be extra weight in the tyres then. And I remember as a kid, there was some of our friends who used to ride BMX bikes who had the solid rubber tyres.
Oh, yeah.
I went, oh, fantastic. I hate getting punctures. But then once you realise how heavy those solid rubber tyres were, you didn't want to ride with them. And the same with this. They're still able to run as almost the normal weight of a tyre. The actual polymer needs to be injected in there.
Yep.
So, yeah, look, I think developments, and I think Hannaford's will be around for a little while yet, but developments are occurring.
Yep. All right. The Ember Smart Mug. Now, come on. A smart mug for coffee.
55 to 56 degrees Celsius is the optimum temperature for your coffee, Richard. I wasn't aware of that. But
I don't know what my Nespresso machine does at home, but I do like what it pumps out.
well, most people have their coffee much hotter than that. They get it at, say, 70 degrees Celsius, because as they drink the cup, it cools down and it might get to maybe 50 degrees Celsius by the end of it. So the Ember coffee cup, and there are other ones that are similar to this, has a charging plate at the bottom, and that actually just has two little contacts that connect to the cup when you sit your cup on it. And what that does is keeps the cup at exactly 55 to 56 degrees Celsius internally, so that your coffee will stay at the optimum temperature. So if you take 2 hours to drink your coffee, that's fine. It'll be at that optimum temperature all the way through. Isn't this the sort of problem we need solved, Richard?
Oh, yes, indeed. And I tell you what, I want to add something to that. I want to see a wine glass to keep my wine at 18, my red wine at 18.
Well, that's not a bad idea either. So I'm sure, I'll go and look for that for next week. I'm sure, given the fact there are coffee cups to keep your coffee warm, there's probably some other concept to keep your beer or wine at a certain temperature.
Yeah, got to keep the Shiraz at a certain temperature, the Cab Sav.
We're at DCFM here, we're solving first world problems by the minute, Richard.
We are indeed. Very quickly, coronavirus is with us. We're hearing about it all the time. But there are some scams going around, Matt, and you've mentioned a couple in your notes today.
There are some very disturbed people out there, Richard. I can't believe
right.
that people would take advantage of the fact that there are obviously a lot of valid fears around coronavirus. So people are receiving phishing emails, phishing spelled P-H-I-S-H-I-N-G, and the idea is that there's something on there that you want to click on, something that attracts you, something that you think is important. And so there's scam emails that are coming out now saying, new cure for coronavirus. The one that I just couldn't understand was COVID-19 tax refund. I don't know how they link tax and COVID-19 together, but this is the sort of mindset of some people out there. So when you see these phishing scams that come out, as with any of these scams, you look at a few things. Firstly, look at the email address it comes from. Now, if they're clever enough, they'll spoof a valid email address. So that's not always a dead giveaway, but sometimes it is. And then any links that are in there, just hover over them and see if the link looks like it's valid. So when it says a tax refund from the tax office and you hover over it and it's not the ATO web or domain name, then you know that something's probably wrong there. And then anything that's got an attachment, especially I saw one the other day where someone had advertised for a job and they'd received a resume, and so that seems valid. You've advertised, a resume comes in, but the resume was an Excel spreadsheet. Now, not many people I know of have their resume in an Excel spreadsheet.
No.
And the reason they do that is Excel spreadsheet can run a macro. So they're waiting for the person to double click on that to open up this supposed resume, and that runs a macro on their PC. So have a look at those attachments. If they're zip files, in fact, if they get any attachment at all, you do question why they're sending an attachment with a COVID-19 cure. Why is there an attachment with there? So just be aware of it. There are some very sick people who are trying to take advantage of our fears, and really just be very careful with them, I suppose. There's a whole range of reasons to be careful about COVID-19, but that's just another one.
Oh, amazing, man. Look, good talking with you again. And Tech Talk, we'll see you next Wednesday morning with more stories. And this is DCFM 88.9. And as I said, more Tech Talk next Wednesday morning with Matt Dickerson here on DCFM 88.9. Right now,